Beyond the Fence Line, a podcast brought to you by the Texas Agricultural Land Trust. Created by landowners for landowners, we're proud to play a role in conserving the Texas legacy of wide open spaces.
Well, welcome back to Beyond the Fence Line. I'm Chad Ellis, the CEO of Texas Agricultural Land Trust. We got a special guest, really close, one of my best friends, and not only one of my great friends, but a great friend to rangeland and grazing lands across the nation, Mr. Rob Cook with Bamert Seed. And Rob and I have known each other and worked together for decades, working with actually starting off in school and NRCS and Noble and get to work with Rob on the board with the National Grazing Land Coalition. So again, it's a pleasure to have you join us today, Rob.
Thanks, Chad. It's a great pleasure of mine too, and thank you for all that you do for the grazing lands across the nation. But I look forward to the conversation. It's going to be a great one.
Yeah, no, thanks, Rob, and I think likewise to you as well. And I think it's fun to work with people that have the same passion for our land stewards and our grazing lands, and it's probably one of my most enjoyable things is our National Grazing Land Coalition board and working with that. It's definitely an extended family, and talking about family, I guess, Rob, and thinking about that. You work for a family-owned, really well-established, the best of the best in the seed business with Bamert Seed, and really, Bamert Seed's, well-known company with the agricultural industry, and it's like y'all saying every seed for your need, whether it's urban landscape, habitat, pleasure, pastures, reclaimed. You kind of do it all, and y'all are definitely the experts, and love for you to kind of share with the audience sort of the history of Bamert Seed. To me, it's amazing story.
You bet, Chad. Yeah, we appreciate that opportunity, and it's a great opportunity to me, and I feel blessed to be able to work where I do, be able to live in the part of the world I do, and work for such a great company, a great family. Actually, kind of established here in Muleshoe, Texas, in 1951. The founder was Carl Bamert, and he kind of it's an interesting story. He kind of started in the seed business kind of by accident. He had some seed that he was producing, filled for some other folks, and kind of got left with his crop to market on his own, and that was kind of the beginning of the seed company. And it started off with 3 or 4 different species, and that's kind of the way the industry was back in those early days. Is there wasn't a whole lot of biodiversity or variety being produced, but Carl started the company and grew it, and really started kind of adding more species to the list. And then his son Nick, after he went to Texas A&M, came back and started taking over the reins about the time that the 85 Farm Bill came out. And started some of those conservation programs. And Nick really expanded the company and started providing seed for a lot of CRP projects kind of across the southern half of the U.S. And CRP kind of allowed the company to blossom and grow underneath Nick's leadership and his foresight. And Nick's still involved day to day. He's in the office every day. I get to talk with him every day and learn from his experience, not just in the seed industry, but managing the farms. We grow the majority of the seed we sell on our own farms here in the Panhandle, the vast majority of it. And Nick's had years of experience, and the company's had, since 1951, years of experience of how to produce those and manage our ecological processes along the way, and be good stewards of our land as we're producing this seed. So we feel like we kind of are able to multiply that stewardship by then having that product to go out. So today, Nick's sons are both leaders in the company. Brett is our president and kind of oversees day to day, and Austin, who is the vice president and manages all the production. It's a great story about succession planning and the way the family's been able to accomplish it. Not only pass along the business, but the land stewardship ethic and being able to continue that. So today, the market's kind of changed. The market's demanding more biodiversity, which is a great thing. So today we produce about 120 to 140 different species and varieties across our acreage. And then we produce those and able to sell those as custom blends, kind of like you said earlier, for several different uses. For urban habitat, for wildlife pollinators, pasture reclamation, land use changes, oil and gas pipelines reclamation, TxDOT, construction reclamation on those types of projects, just wildlife habitat enhancements. So it is a great story about the way the Bamerts as a family have been able to evolve with the demands on the industry and being able to meet those, like you said, across the nation. Last year we sold to 47 of the lower 48 states in the nation, but the majority of our seed is developed and produced for Texas, eastern New Mexico, eastern Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, we pride ourselves on producing the right seed for the right place. So that's what our folks do. Our sales staff is pretty unique across the seed industry. They're more ecologists than they are seed salesmen. They're ecologists that are able to help our customers, but we really want to make sure that we're getting the right seed in the right place. Not only the right varieties to match the site, but also, the right species to match the site, but also the right varieties of those species to match the site. So the majority of what we sell is site-specific custom blends to meet the goals of the project, while also making sure that seed's adaptable to the soils and the ecology of that area.
Yeah, I think that's what's really unique, Rob. When you think about it, right? Stewardship isn't an investment, and you guys are more, come to it as more of a partner and, providing more service than just, selling seed. You're there helping really empower that land steward to have the best economical and ecological success on their place. So it's pretty special.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think, and I know you realize how blessed you are, working for the Bamerts. Nick and Brett, Austin, wonderful people. Just down to earth. Just as genuine as you can be, and you can see it in the company, right? And their values come, family values to, and it's more of an extended family to everybody they work with and those clients, and it's pretty special. I guess a question I have, sitting there thinking about the story you mentioned, right, of Nick coming in right at the time of the 85 Farm Bill and the switch of some of that, and seeing the advantage, kind of fast forward to 2022, we're right around the corner for the 23 Farm Bill, right? And I know you've been working hand in hand with me thinking about that. From I guess a question I'm just kind of popped in my mind, Rob, is how is you and Brett and Austin and even Nick, right, thinking about this 23 Farm Bill? What are those areas where Bamert can help agriculture in the next Farm Bill, and what are those potential things coming down the pipeline. And you kind of really hit a little bit about it, thinking about, you move from, three to four, varieties or species to, well over 120 species, and that biodiversity component. Love to hear kind of your thoughts of, maybe it's even beyond this farm bill, just kind of where you're seeing the industry and things moving.
Yeah, Chad, we talk about it all the time, and biodiversity is, in our eyes, is going to be key moving forward, especially in the Southern Great Plains for a lot of different reasons. And you've had some great discussions on the podcast about ecosystem services and what those provide for society. And a lot of the backbone of a lot of where that comes from is from the biodiversity. And if you think about kind of the situation we're in with the drought we're experiencing right now, and the kind of those hard times, biodiversity is one of the insulators that we have against drought, and helps us to provide resilient landscapes,
Right.
across our state. If you think about a native grass stand, it's not a monoculture. It's a lot of heterogeneity out there, and some folks' eyes it looks messy. But all of those different structures of all of those different plants growing on there, that in my eyes, pretty beautiful. Just from our experience, through the decades of managing these ecosystem services, helping folks manage those services, and that biodiversity above ground creates biodiversity with the animals that utilize it. It also has biodiversity below ground. All those different roots of all those different plants below ground look different. They have different structures. They're in different parts of the soil profile, and they all function a little bit different. So, in a monocultured system, those plants have the same root structure. They're the same part of the soil profile, and they're demanding nutrients and resources like water at the same time, because they all have the same growth curve and at the same part of the soil profile. So there's a lot of competition happening. That biodiversity, we're able to have those resource demands because of the different growth curves and the different structures of those roots at different times throughout the year and at different parts of the profile. So maybe limiting some of that competition. It also attracts a biodiversity of the flora and fauna underground. Those root exudates that all those different plants put on attract different microorganisms. And so because of that biodiversity below ground and the way all those organisms are acting together, our nutrient cycles function better and healthy. Our water cycle functions, and our energy cycle functions. The majority of our organic matter in the soil comes from the roots and the exudates they put off, and then the microbes in the soil. And so, that's another piece of it to me is the carbon issue, carbon sequestration. Right. And it doesn't make a difference to me what side of the coin that our producers and our customers set on that issue, because it's an opportunity for all of us to be able to manage it. And biodiversity and creating more of that organic matter and that carbon in the soil is an opportunity for our customers and our producers. And we work not only to help them establish that biodiversity, but some consultation to help manage it, to put them in the position to take advantage of those opportunities if and when they come down the line, for those producers or land managers. Also, that increase in carbon helps increase our water storage capacity. That's really drives it home, where we are today.
Where we are, the drought.
Yeah. And our soil structure that happens because of all that. So the soil structure will increase our water infiltration. And so that means that more of our rain that falls on our land becomes effective rainfall. We're able to use more of that rain for our water cycle and our healthy lands with the increased biodiversity from a diverse native species blend. Those deep-rooted plants, and like I discussed earlier, all those different structures really help with our soil structure and increasing our water infiltration and capturing more of that water, utilizing more of that water, and having that healthier water cycle. From the pollinator standpoint, that's popular, rightly so. In a lot of areas, and the biodiversity, including grasses, in that helps increase that habitat for those pollinators and wildlife, and hopefully help with decrease a little bit of the fragmentation. It seems to be a lot of the issue with many of those species. So that's really our goal, and really where we come from as a company is we not only providing the seed. We don't try to push what we have the most of in the warehouse. We have to live with our outcomes. So to have successful outcomes, we want to have good consultation of how to establish these grasses, how to establish the correct grasses, and then kind of how to manage them afterwards. Whether it's in a wildlife, a grazing, or just a reclamation situation, we kind of have the staff to do it, and that's where we come from. And that's a lot of where we think the company can help with Farm Bill, with different programs, and then just as we move forward, we see these ecosystem services playing a larger role, especially in some of our rural areas. You take the southern Ogallala, for instance, with the depletion of that, the proper management and maybe taking advantage of some of these opportunities for ecosystem services and markets that might come from that will facilitate maybe some updates in some of our farming practices, and help keep our area vibrant and our small communities vibrant and healthy, because we're able to help our producers stay on the land, and we're also able to increase the biodiversity across the landscape, even in a setting that's maybe not in an ag setting.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing, man. Just listening to you, right? It's more than just throwing some seed out there, and I mean, you just really articulated very well. It's more than that, right? It's that seed, and the right time, the right everything, and what it means, staying in the business and keeping increasing the water capacity and everything else, right? And it's just complex. And again, having that help, thinking through that process is very needed. I think, I mean, you kind of talked about the drought, where we are today, right, Rob? And I mean, what kind of suggestions, I guess, going back to sort of y'all's consultation or visiting with folks calling, thinking about planting and buying seed. I mean, what's your suggestions now, and how are you looking at it from the drought perspective?
Sure. Yeah. The unfortunate thing about a drought like that is it really oftentimes exacerbates issues and really brings things to light. So oftentimes, in a drought like this, when we do have maybe some issues with forage available for our cattle, or other issues bring to light, everybody's trying to get something growing, and they really understand that we need to get the ground covered for several different reasons. Just by the time we get to this point, it's extremely difficult. And planting native grass is not a cheap or easy proposition, and we don't want it to sound like that. We want to have everybody have the realistic expectation of it. So we need to do everything we can up front to help make sure that we have success in establishing that stand. So what we're telling folks a lot right now is, and a lot of places are finally starting to get some rain, and we're really late in the season to be maybe planting some native grass. The reason being, as a perennial plant, like a warm season perennial native grasses, if we don't give them enough time during the growing season to establish a healthy root system, come winter, we're going to have, if we do get a stand, by winter and we have cold weather, we're going to have a stand reduction. Right. So a lot of times what we recommend right now is maybe we plant a cover, and it doesn't have to be a full rate of whatever we're looking at, a cool season annual. At this point, I might even throw a little bit of warm season annual with our cool season annual. Get the ground covered, stop or slow any wind erosion that we might have, water erosion that we might have, get a living root in the ground and keep our biology going underground, and then be ready. Hopefully next spring's growing conditions will improve, and we'll be able to plant straight into that cover crop with our perennial grasses, and really have a better shot of having a established stand next spring, and while still maintaining everything that we need to through the winter as far as ground cover, as kind of the recommendation that we make.
That's great advice, really great advice. As kind of you mentioned, establishing native vegetation, especially in a reclamation project, can be extremely challenging task, right? I know Bamert Seed Company, you're always forward thinking and thinking of new technologies, new ways, improvements, innovation. And I know you guys have been working on a new tool that can really help, and hopefully be kind of rolling out here in the next month or so. And love for you to kind of talk about Seed Spec and kind of what you see, that tool helping kind of make these decisions moving forward.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Chad. We're really excited about Seed Spec, and we worked hard to make it a pretty intuitive and easy tool to use. So what Seed Spec is we worked alongside Colorado State University in their object modeling system lab to develop a web application that allows a user, even a novice layman user, to develop site-specific seed blends based off their soils and the ecological sites that exist in their project or their area of interest. And that's important because we said we have to have the right seed in the right spot. So what this tool does is it takes an area of interest, whether you import a shapefile or you use the geospatial platform within the tool to draw off your pasture or your project, and it uses that area of interest as a cookie cutter. And it goes to a National Soils database, and it brings back only that information that we need of these soils to develop the seed blend. It takes that soils information and then goes to EDIT, which is the ecological database that houses ecological site descriptions. And within those site descriptions, there's a species composition list of what naturally grows in that area. What the tool does is all that information is available. It's third-party information, and the majority of it's from USDA. So it's you kind of have to have a working knowledge to know how to get that information, and then it's time consuming and sometimes cumbersome to get to it. But you have all that species information, and you might not know what's commercially available. So it cross-references the species composition list with what's commercially available, and then gives you a recommendation of how much of each one of those species you should put into a seed blend. And it goes a step further, and we also recommend which varieties of each one of those species is most adapted to your area. So, and then you're able to develop your site-specific seed blend to help meet the needs of your project. And intuitively and easy and quickly. So it wasn't easy or quick to develop the tool. Nobody's done it before, but I think our outcome and our product accomplishes those goals. And having the correct species will help establish our establishment. But another thing it does is it recommends and you can see all the species that are adapted to that site, whether they're our climax or our sexier species, or whether they're lower successional, maybe not as sought after. Because that's really one reason historically that we have stand failures on reclamation projects. Oftentimes we're planting on degraded sites, so we're planting high successional species in soil that's not in a high successional state, and then wondering why we're not having success. So one thing we really recommend is mixing in some of these mid or lower successional species. They're all part of the complex, natively that's out there, and they all play a role. They're role players, in our project, and we have to have those. We have to have those rebounders. We have to have those defensive guys in place to win. And some of those lower successional species, those kind of the roles that they play, is they help prepare the soil. They help make things adaptable for some of our higher successional species to establish and persist. So that's another part of why we're really excited about that tool coming up and folks being able to use it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's extremely exciting. I mean, we all want to be a quarterback, but but I mean, and so, but everybody has a role, right, to play to win, right, to get the ball across the goal line. And I mean, you're exactly right. And I think we've, unfortunately over the years, we always want the best, right? And you kind of, it's a little bit of human nature comes in play. And there's no doubt that seed spec's gonna, help our land managers get a leg up. And I'm excited about it, Rob. I mean, I know you've put a lot of work and a lot of effort in this, and a lot of expense on your end just to help people. And yeah, I appreciate you taking that extra step in this, because I understand the challenges.
Yeah, firsthand. It was a kind of working to develop technology in the ag space previously. I worked alongside you to do that in some situations. We knew it would be difficult, it would be time consuming and expensive, but the outcomes that are going to come from it help us, help our producers, help us have better outcomes. But I think it also advances the industry, and it advances the ability of folks to properly manage ecosystem services across the landscape. So that's why it was worth our time and our effort. And I applaud the Bamerts for being having enough foresight to understand and see the value of it. And then of course they did from the very beginning. And so yeah, we do look forward to it rolling out pretty soon. It'll be live in a month or two, and everybody be on the lookout. Of course we'll have a strategy of social media and different ways of letting people know that it's out there and ready for use. But we look forward to people being able to utilize it.
Well, we're looking forward to sharing, that information out to everybody, and appreciate it again. I think one thing, kind of talking about blends and things like you've talked about and utilizing the tool. One thing that I wanted to kind of highlight and kind of talk about, and another thing I'm extremely excited about, with our partnership with Bamert Seed, is a seed blend that you help design for TALT. And we kind of rolled it out at our gala back in May, and that was there to kind of fundraise for our Forever Texas Fund, right? Our endowment that helps run TALT, to be able to, provide our services to landowners forever, and which is really, really important. And I'm excited for you to kind of share, with the listeners, the Texas Heritage Blend that you came up with and the partnership with TALT.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it, Chad. That Texas Heritage Blend, I think, kind of tells the stories about both organizations and our partnerships and how we can work together. It's a blend of warm season perennial grasses, a lot of tall grasses and mid grasses that kind of fit the majority of the state, along with many wildflowers that are found across the state. And so the heritage that Texas Ag Land Trust enables people to continue to move forward, and the stewardship ethic that you allow your trustees to continue to move forward falls in line and vein with what we're trying to do here at Bamert. So it's really one of the only blends, house blends that we have that include both our warm season perennial grasses with several wildflowers, forbs and legumes into one blend. You look out across the landscape across Texas, and that's what we hope to see, that biodiversity with all of those different types of plants growing to help with our pollinators, wildlife, grazing, aesthetics, open lands, that heritage that we all know and love about Texas and our ag producers from Texas. So yeah, we think that blend fits that thought process very well. And we're excited to announce that that 10% of the proceeds from the sale of this blend online will have a code for you to enter TALT for that code TALT, and 10% of the proceeds from the sale of this will go back to the Texas Ag Land Trust to help support your mission and your vision and your goals and what you're doing, and just hopefully strengthen our partnership about continuing ag land heritage across the state.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it well, right? It meets our mission, and both of our missions is really about how we empower the producer to be better tomorrow than they are today, and to ultimately keep those working lands working into the future to provide for all Texans. And I think that blend really, I mean, you articulated what it means, right? And I just, I truly appreciate the Bamert family and the company as well, and you and all of our partnership and trying to help our landowners and help keep Texas.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, we appreciate y'all's work, and that's you mentioned it earlier. I've been blessed across my career to work with great people, and that's what makes this profession amazing, is the people that have the passion that you see every day doing what we're doing, and nobody more so than you and your organization. So we're just blessed to be a part or any role we can play in any of those efforts.
It takes all of us, right, to move the needle. And well, as we kind of wrap up, Rob, any kind of last comments or anything that we missed or you want to share?
No, yeah, I just again, I appreciate the opportunity not only to have the partnership and the friendship with you and many others like you across the state, but you taking the time to allow us to tell our story. Also, greatly appreciate the Bamert family and what they've built and what they've entrusted in the staff that we have here. We have over 40 folks on staff and entrusted us and allow us to be innovative and continue what they've done, and for us to continue to demonstrate how we're a little different, maybe in the seed industry. We value the stewardship ethic and able to provide the consultation with the great sales staff that we have on staff. So just feel pretty blessed.
Yep. Well, thank you again, Rob, and thank you so much for joining us today, and also a big thanks to the Bamert Seed company for partnering with TALT. And more importantly, really can't thank you guys enough for what all you've done across helping the Texas landscape, and we appreciate it very much. And just want to thank again our listeners, and thank you for listening and joining. And we'll look forward to catching us next time with Beyond the Fence Line. And everybody have a blessed one.
Beyond the Fence Line is brought to you by the Texas Agricultural Land Trust, dedicated to conserving the Texas heritage of agricultural lands, wildlife habitats, and natural resources. Find out more at txaglandtrust.org.